Jackson will keep it on the read up, and he's got it 40, 35, spins at the 30. He's got room 20. Lamar Jackson 10, 9, touchdown! Lamar Jackson with the spin, the sprint, and the score.
This is unbelievable.
Phil, no shades. Remember when all the commentary was that Lamar Jackson can't throw? Well, he might not have to. Quieting critics yesterday with a perfect passer rating en route to a beatdown in the Bengals with his arm and legs. The team has now beat the Pats and the Seahawks. Dan's still here with us, but Stephen A., I'm looking at you. Should the Ravens be the favorites in the AFC at this point?
Believe it or not, I think at this point, yes, for several reasons. Number one, Lamar Jackson is just sensational with his feet. That 47-yard, scamper with the spin move or whatever, it was something special to behold. He also led the team in rushing. I think only one of his passes touched the turf yesterday, and that was on an intentional spike. That's number two. Number three, the Cincinnati Bengals are no litmus test because they're atrocious. We understand that. They may go winless. They are absolutely, positively pathetic in every shape, form, or fashion. Yes, I did advocate getting rid of Marvin Lewis, and damn it, I stand by that point. You go 16 years, you can't win a playoff game. Damn it, it's time for change. But I damn sure didn't tell him to hire Zach Taylor. Ain't nobody said nothing about that.
It might go 160 years.
This is just bad what they've done to the citizens of Cincinnati. I mean, as cold as it is there in Ohio, to give them something to look forward to, you would think. They don't have an NFL team.
Ohio State.
They don't have the NFL team. The Reds ain't that great, okay? And Ohio State is up the road in Columbus. I mean, for you to sit up there and to give this product, to put this product, you should be giving customers money instead of charging them to watch your pathetic, horrible product, okay? So that's the Cincinnati Bengals, and we recognize that. But it doesn't negate the fact that, again, if you're Lamar Jackson, what is one of the things that they did to really get him better? Not just work on his mechanics, his ability to throw the football, but the three guys, Mark Andrews, Nick Boyle, Hayden Hurst. This is your trio at the tight end spot that you utilize. Why? Because you kept throwing the ball underneath.
Football.
I'm getting better. The point that I'm trying to make to you is that if you're throwing the football underneath, you're not asking him to throw the long ball. You're doing two things. You're asking, actually three things. You're asking him to hand off the ball to a running back like a Mark Ingram. You're asking him to throw the ball underneath, or you're asking him to run the football himself. Two of those three things are as easy as pie for him to do. The other he has learned, and he continues to elevate. So when I look at it from that perspective, all I'm saying is, if you look at that and you combine that with what you saw from Kansas City's defense. See, we keep thinking about Patrick Mahomes. We're not thinking enough about the position Kansas City's defense put him in. They can't stop a cold when it really, really counts. They're just horrible as far as I'm concerned. I don't give a damn what anybody says. That defense continuously lets them down, even though the bad snap by the center yesterday. I get all of that. But the defense lets them down. New England, their offense is questionable because of all the bodies that they've lost, okay? And then when you look at the South, whether it's the coach, Jacoby Brissett goes down, you believe in Deshaun Jackson, but you don't believe in Bill O'Brien. You look at the Ravens in terms of balance. I think that they're the team right now in the AFC.
Including the coach, but the question should be favorites in the AFC
right now.
But I'm not saying if the playoffs were today or yesterday, what would happen? I mean, should we favor them in the long haul? And they're among the favorites, but I can't call them the favorites for a couple reasons. One, I saw an incredible stat on Twitter that I retweeted yesterday. Lamar Jackson is 27 days younger than Joe Burrow. Think about that for a second. Mm-hmm. Lamar Jackson is scary good. And if we can assume he can continue to get better he hasn't hit his peak, he's going to be just a great, great, great player. He's already fantastic. And better than I thought he'd be, by the way, based on his passing in college. Mm-hmm. He's 22 years old, nevertheless. He is 22. And my prediction for the Pats game is I thought they had a really good shot to beat the Pats because I thought what Belichick would do is not that he wasn't trying to win the game, but he's really preparing for the rematch in the playoffs. I think Belichick surveyed the landscape, said, we're going to have to play them in the playoffs. Let me see what happens. And like a boxer in the first round, you probe with your jab, you figure out what the defense is. Mm-hmm. I think Belichick, if you look at the defenses he employed against Lamar Jackson, he did everything So he now has a book on how they react. Now, maybe it doesn't matter if you have the book. You just can't stop Lamar Jackson. But I remember what Lamar looked like, especially early in that playoff game against the Chargers last year, completely overwhelmed.
Yeah, deer in headlights.
By the way, and then Belichick's defense made Phillip Rivers look like that in the very next game. I think of Belichick having played him already, and even Belichick's denial when they asked him basically what I said, and he's like, no, it's a week-to-week league. No, I think that's actually what's going on. So I think the Patriots, given their defense, given that first matchup, have a very good shot, and maybe I'd make them the favorites over them if they meet in the playoffs. And now I want to say one thing about the Chiefs, and the floor is yours. The Chiefs' run defense stunk last year. They were without Kareem Hunt in the AFC Championship game last year, and if not for a pre-snap penalty, they would have gone to and I believe won the Super Bowl last year. Now, they have not been firing on all cylinders at all this season.
Yeah, you see him in the red zone yesterday?
Mahomes hasn't been there, one thing or another, but the bottom line is Patrick Mahomes is back. He now has 18 touchdowns versus really 0 interceptions this year. That one BS call where he had that free play. And they're just getting warm with Mahomes back from the patella. I still think the Chiefs should be favored over the Ravens.
Bruh, he threw for 446 yards and 3 touchdowns on the road and still lost.
Yeah.
Hey, Pat, can you throw for 500 so maybe we can win?
Yeah.
How perfect do you want him to be? Like, we cannot sit here and put the Chiefs as a favorite because of the defense. They give up 90 yards per game on the ground in the second half, Max. That is historically bad as a defense. Sure. So we're not going to go like Patrick Mahomes will bail him out. He's got to throw for 500 for them to win.
The defense will get better.
To the Ravens.
As you would say, there's absolutely no evidence for what you
They were terrible last year.
That's what we're saying.
Yeah, and
That's what we're saying. There's no evidence for what you're saying.
Bad right now.
Zero.
But
I wasn't talking about them in the red zone yesterday. It was like 9 tries. It was so bad. I'm like, oh my God, can someone get in?
They're going to play someone better than Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. Like the Chiefs played Tannehill.
Let me add this point to further knock down his point. You brought up that they were bad last year. What you don't understand is that how much better can you expect the Chiefs offense to be? They were great last year. They're great now. And still, their record is worse now than it was at this time last year because their defense is still bad. So the point that we're making, no. It doesn't matter. That defense lets you down. The defense lets you down. Period. They only 1-1 without Mahomes.
Right, so 7-3 instead of 6-4.
Okay,
we're having a
but
different conversation.
I'm just saying, the point that I'm trying to make to you is that the defense lets you down. We all recognize the greatness of Patrick Mahomes. We know how real Tyreek Hill is. Travis Kelce, Damian. As a matter of fact, they've had some brothers step up and produce like yesterday that we didn't see coming. This offense is prolific. But the defense will let you down. Right now, Kansas City has no business being a favorite because that defense won't show up.
How far can they even go? Okay, go ahead.
Because I wanted to get into the Ravens because I think they're really interesting to talk about. I kind of categorize them as they're indefensible right now because their scheme is the only scheme like that in the NFL right now. Then their personnel, and Stephen A. talked about the 3 tight ends. Only team in the NFL that can deploy 3 tight ends that can both pass block, run block, and be pass catchers. And then the quarterback is the only player like that in the NFL. So they're impossible to plan for and then have to play against. And now they've added the triple option with the Heisman package. Greg Roman, their offensive coordinator, didn't do it by accident yesterday, guys. Like, he did it against the team with the Bengals that he knew, all right, game is secured. I'm going to throw this out. So the point is, you spend so much time having to prepare for this style of offense that you can't because it takes so much. And now you've added that package with RG3. Dude, I'm telling you, that is going to drive coordinators nuts. What do you do now that you can run the option with Mark Ingram and RG3?
I don't like it, though, because quarterbacks are not protected well enough. You're even with a read option, you're exposing Lamar Jackson to more
But
hits.
they're running the option no matter what.
Look,
I agree with you.
We're also
but
ignoring.
They got to let him be him.
We're also ignoring a defense that has scored a lot recently. And the Marcus Peters trade was weird to me because the Rams bring in a even better, secondary player, and then they give up a guy with talent. But I guess they had enough of them. But those kind of ball-hawking defenses, they don't continue to take away the ball as much.
They do when they're up 14-0.
But the point is, they're not going to score as much from the defense as they have, and likely, even with Earl Thomas and Marcus
49
Peters.
points twice this season.
Right, like that's not going to. You can't rely on that.
They've got a good one Sunday. The Ravens are going to host the Texans. They open that one as 4.5-point favorites. They are 7-2 right now, first in the division. Dan, you're the best. Appreciate you. Bama learned the hard way. LSU doesn't have an average Joe, everybody. But who's really to blame for the Tide falling for the first time this season? Find out that next.
Don't miss another huge show tomorrow for a reaction to the huge Monday Night Showdown between the